Welcome to Movie Time in 5. My name is Brian Hayes, and each week I'll provide you a 5-minute review of a recent sci-fi or horror movie, either released in theaters or on iTunes or on your favorite streaming service such as Netflix or Amazon Prime. So this week's episode is going to be about the creepy doll. Her name is Annabelle, and this movie is Annabelle 2, or also called Annabelle 2 The Creation. So to properly grasp the plot of this film, I would highly recommend you go back and watch the original Conjuring movie. It provides the background, the lore of the movie. It's excellent by itself anyway, but there are touches on the Annabelle doll and the lore behind it. So you need to go watch the Conjuring, and you need to go watch the original Annabelle movie, released back in 2014. It's not as good a movie as this one, but it provides you the downstream repercussions of the Annabelle doll, and after it's created in this movie, so it's very critical for you to go back and watch that. I would highly recommend doing that so it all works together, you understand the whole story, and I'm a person who's kind of a completeness person, so I would highly recommend doing that. So let's kick off and start with the plot of Annabelle 2. So several years after the tragic death of their little girl, a doll maker, and I'm going to butcher his name, but it's played by Anthony LaPaglia, and his wife, played by Miranda Otto, they welcome a nun and several girls into their home from a shuttered orphanage. Soon they become the target of a deadly doll, a scary doll, a cursed doll, which, of course, scares us all, Annabelle. Without giving too much away in this movie, though, it's easy to spoil. You learn the history behind the tragedy of their daughter's death and how the Annabelle doll, which is a creation of the father, is possessed in the classic deal with your devil trope. The trope is done well, but it is a classic trope. So outside of the father and the mother, of Annabelle, the two lead characters in this movie are Talitha Bateman, who plays a wheelchair-bound teen named Janice, and she struggles with a disability. She really struggles with fitting in with her friends. She's not able to do many of the activities that her fellow orphans do, and her curiosity is charming, but is also the driving force in what gets her in trouble and gets the whole thing kicked off in regards to the terror that awaits the entire group. Stephanie Sigmund, who plays Sister Charlotte, is the nun who protects the team, protects the girls, and she's the spiritual warrior and protector of the girls. She does an excellent job in this movie as well. So those are the key actors, and they all do excellent in my opinion. So what things does the movie do well? The atmosphere is dark. The cinematography and camera angles are very, very well done. It does help drive the creepiness factor and envelops you in the Annabelle universe. Like I mentioned earlier, the actors in the movie are stellar. The lead characters in the movie are excellent. It's all well executed, a well acted movie, especially by, again, the key roles, the key characters. The third act of the movie is the strongest of the movie. I felt my heart pounding. Really felt a part of the universe during that part. There's a scene in a farmhouse that I do not want to get into a lot of detail on because I want to spoil it, but it's very, very creepy, very, very scary, and the repercussions of Annabelle's parents' decision, and it ties clearly into the Conjuring lore, into the universe. So the good thing about this movie as well, as at the end, especially for the last 10 minutes, you understand how it links into the other movies and how it passes the baton to the later movies, which in reality are movies that already came out because this is a prequel. What does the movie struggle with? Well, the movie struggles in the first 2 acts. It is very, very slow in my opinion. It drags on. They could have done in the first 30 minutes what they did in 60 to 70 minutes. There's a lot of jump scares, which I think are in some ways poorly executed, overused. And again, a lot of dialogue that I think drags on, very slow, but it's really well worth it. It pays off in the last 20 minutes, in my opinion, of this movie. So in summary, I would give this overall movie, if I give it a score out of 10, I would give it a strong 7.5. I would give the first 2 acts probably only a 5 or a 5.5, and I'd give the third act, the final 20 to 30 minutes of the movie, a strong 8.5. So I'd give it, to be fair, about a 7.5 out of 10. I saw a lot of people giving this movie on Rotten Tomatoes the first couple weeks it came out a 95 to 100 rating, and now it's settled back into about a 78 to 80 rating, which I think is a fair assessment of this horror movie. It's not something that is groundbreaking, but it is very, very good. So I would recommend going to see this movie in the theaters. I think it is worth a go see. It's not as good as the original Conjuring movie. It is, in my opinion, much better, though, than the original Annabelle movie. But it is not ever going to be in my top 10 or 20 horror scary movies of all time. That's just not going to happen. But it certainly, again, is a strong enough movie to go watch and eventually add to your collection and watch when it comes out on a streaming service, especially if you don't go see it in the theater. So I hope you enjoyed this week's Movie Time in 5. You can find me on Twitter at BrianHayes73. And until next week, do your heart some good and get scared. Bye, y'all.